Despite backlash to the idea, President Trump continues to signal that he is open to accepting a new $400 million plane from Qatar. And Walmart's executives say Trump's tariffs are the reason they're going to raise prices. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Trump is continuing to signal he is open to accepting a $400 million plane from Qatar's government. It would serve as the new Air Force One for the president. Critics say it presents a host of security and ethical issues. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports on the backlash from some of Trump's fellow Republicans.
A number of conservative influencers are taking to social media to openly criticize the move, calling it out of touch, unconstitutional, and a, quote, stain on the administration. Right-wing commentator Ben Shapiro posted a video accusing Trump of compromising his America First agenda.
Taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, that's not America First. Like, please define America First in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America First in any conceivable way.
President Trump has defended his openness to accept the jet, framing it as a money saver for taxpayers. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told lawmakers yesterday he wants less money for his agency, the Department of Health and Human Services. He was questioned by separate panels in the House and Senate. NPR's Selena Simmons-Duffin reports that lawmakers grilled Kennedy about mass layoffs at his agency.
10,000 staffers at HHS have been fired since Secretary Kennedy began leading the agency, with thousands more taking buyouts or early retirement. Here's Kennedy responding to a question about who decided which staff to cut.
Elon Musk gave us help in figuring out where there was waste, fraud, and abuse in the department. But it was up to me to make the decision.
Lawmakers of both parties questioned the wisdom of shrinking the size of the National Institutes of Health, which Kennedy described as being corrupt and in need of a new direction. Selena Simmons-Duffin, NPR News, Washington.
Retailer Walmart says it has to raise prices. The country's largest retailer says that's because of President Trump's worldwide tariffs. Walmart officials say the company's profits slipped in the first quarter of this year, but they do expect to see good sales growth in the next quarter. A U.S.-backed group says humanitarian aid will resume to Gaza by the end of the month. Israel has been blocking all food and supplies into Gaza for more than 2 months. International experts are warning about a risk of famine. NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Tel Aviv.
The Trump administration is leading an effort with Israel's support to resume aid to Gaza using a new organization called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, run by a U.S. military veteran. The aim is to deny aid to Hamas members, whom Israel and the U.S. say steal it. The group says it has received Israeli approval to take over aid operations in Gaza by the end of the month and to expand the areas where it will distribute food and supplies. Israeli officials have declined requests for comment. The United Nations and its partner groups have run humanitarian aid distribution in Gaza until now. They have refused to cooperate with the new aid system, calling it a military plan to force civilians into a concentrated zone. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Israeli airstrikes in Gaza have killed more than 100 Palestinians this week, including many children, that according to health officials in Gaza. The Trump administration is delaying rules that put limits on the levels of forever chemicals in drinking water. NPR's Ping Huang reports the Environmental Protection Agency is reconsidering its PFAS rules.
PFAS are a class of chemicals that have been used for decades to waterproof and stain-proof products. They've been linked to certain cancers and damage to the liver and immune system. Last April, the Biden administration set limits on the amount of PFAS chemicals allowed in drinking water, requiring community water systems to start installing filters to remove them. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announced that the agency is delaying the compliance timeline for some chemicals and reconsidering the allowable levels for others.
But that doesn't mean that it gets weaker. The number might end up getting lower, not higher.
Health advocates worry that the move will delay the removal of these chemicals from drinking water and that more people will be exposed to chemicals that can contribute to chronic health problems. Ping Huang, NPR News.
A Wisconsin county judge who is accused of helping a man evade immigration authorities is scheduled for arraignment today in federal court. Her case has heightened discord over President Trump's approach to immigration enforcement. From member station WUWM, Maayan Silver has more.
Judge Hannah Dugan is expected to enter pleas of not guilty to 2 federal charges: concealing an individual to prevent arrest and obstructing a proceeding. She was indicted Wednesday after allegedly directing a defendant without legal status out of her courtroom as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents tried to arrest him. Her case was assigned to Judge Lynn Edelman, an appointee of former President Bill Clinton. Wisconsin defense attorney Tony Cotton says he's someone who frequently holds the government accountable.
Edelman is about as good of a draw as she could have ever hoped for.
Dugan has filed a motion to dismiss the case, arguing that the government's prosecution is, quote, virtually unprecedented and entirely unconstitutional. For NPR News, I'm Maayan Silver in Milwaukee.
A former girlfriend of hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs has finished 2 days of testimony at Combs' federal sex trafficking trial in New York. NPR's Isabella Gomez Sarmiento reports she described how she ended her relationship with the rapper. A note, this report mentions physical and sexual assault.
Cassie Ventura spent hours testifying about the violence, blackmail, and isolation she experienced during her more than 10 years dating Combs. Prosecutors showed multiple photos of Ventura's bruises and injuries from what she said were beatings by Combs. Ventura also testified that Combs raped her in 2018 after she ended the relationship. In tears, she told the court she decided to speak out about the abuse years after the breakup because she was tired of carrying the shame. The defense concedes that Combs was violent and abusive, but says that doesn't make him guilty of sex trafficking and racketeering. Isabella Gomez Sarmiento, NPR News.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to 5 criminal counts. Historical researchers have discovered that a copy of the Magna Carta that's owned by Harvard University is actually real. The original British document from the 1200s is the foundation of other countries' constitutions. Harvard bought the document decades ago for less than $30. It's estimated now to be worth millions of dollars. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.